Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. So I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. Now notice we have this very sharp move down. Now when you zoom in, you can see we have this thinner downtrend break and two legs at a new low before reversing on higher there, which is very typical. When a downtrend plays out, you can expect a reversal. But there is a problem with this reversal pattern here, and it has to do with just how sharp this move down is, because clearly even with the break and a couple attempts at a new low, it's very clearly still one sharp leg down that I would actually want to see two legs down basically immediately for it. So I would have wanted to see a bigger break pushing above the EMA and then two clear attempts at a new low holding above the EMA. That would have been a good reversal pattern. But this is just too small picture. You get a break of this trend line here. You get first attempt lower, second attempt lower, failure. Now technically that is true, but it's simply too small picture to actually base a trade on, considering the size of this move down. So to me, that's just not worth it. It basically just got choppy sideways and then only one, kind of real attempt down. So I unfortunately do not see an entry there. Now we do push on higher here, and on a big picture, this is the break of this downtrend. So now we have this downtrend, break, kind of like or whoops, I didn't mean to move that at first. This push higher here was the break, and then once again, the two attempts lower before the failure. On a bigger picture, we have downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, failure, which even that gets even bigger picture. It turns into a two-legged break, and then you get a couple attempts lower. So basically, if the bias in this case bearish, if the bias stays the same, then it'll just keep on getting bigger picture attempts for the original large trend. So I'll get into that later as we get into it. So we push on up here, and then no entries on the way up. It kind of just doesn't reach the EMA, and then here we finally reach the EMA in the lower trend line, but it's just a first entry long. It's not good enough to continue this channel higher. We get kind of choppy. We move sideways, have a second leg down. So now here we have a couple legs down. And someone was asking me about going short right here, which I don't view that as a good short because, once again, you basically just have two legs down straight to that area, right into these lows right here, getting sideways and choppy. And same thing for right here. It's not into the lows of this channel, but it's overshooting, and overshoots lead to breaks. And so you don't want to just continue and overshoot, especially when it's getting very sideways like that anyway. So that's just, that's not an ideal short. But we push on lower here, we bounce here, that makes this double bottom here. Now, like I said, price action levels get bigger as more time goes on. So now at this point here, we have downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. Now, there's no way to get in on the failure safely, in my opinion. It's right into this trend line high, which even though we have this really big overshoot, you still don't want to just bet on it breaking out, especially when it's getting, pretty sideways like that anyway. It's just not ideal. Now we push on up here. Now it turns down right at this measured move, so it's acting perfectly like a two-legged break. So, at first it was downtrend, break, two very small attempts at a new low. Failure. That failure formed the bigger picture break. So now we have downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, failure, and once again this failure is forming the second leg on the two-legged break. So it just keeps on getting bigger picture. So long as there's no full-on reversal and the bias, this bearish bias stays the same, it'll just keep on getting bigger picture. And so, at this point here, we turn down, we have this downtrend, two-legged break. Now, what I was wanting, I was wanting a clear entry below the EMA, of course. Now, someone was asking me about this here. To me, I just feel this as getting very choppy, very sideways, when you'd want to see a clear reversal pattern. Now, here, notice how this green bar, it ticked higher, and then it couldn't get past, it couldn't hit the stops of it. It couldn't hit the lows. Notice how it was also a swing bar right there, very small. And it ticked lower and just shot up higher, and so it looks good for a long, if you're very zoomed in, it looks good to like a scalper, say, maybe. And I wasn't saying anything bad about scalping just now. It's just not the way I trade. So when people see a bullish bar like that, there's going to be a lot of people buying it just because it's a bullish bar. And so when it ticks higher, you want to see if it's hitting their stops, and it didn't hit it. It ended up closing back up here. So even, though it's at this big measured move and it's an area that you'd want to see a good reversal pattern, we don't even get a trap. So, at this point on this red bar, it's basically just sideways, and it didn't act like a trap. There's really no reason to enter here. It's just kind of, unfortunate. It's right at the measured move area, but it's just not good enough. I would want to see a real reversal pattern. Now, here at this point, some may say this is a real reversal pattern because it's a first entry long, second entry long failure. However, on a reversal pattern on a failed second entry, you do not want to see two legs already down that are clearly measured and met. So that's just not ideal. You do not want the measured move down to already be met on a failed second entry long. So anyway, we bounce here. Notice we have this downtrend, break, push to a new low, reverse higher, and clearly, just like I was saying over here, with this break and push to a new low into a reversal, this reversal is actually just the bigger picture break, because clearly this whole leg is one move down, including the part where it has a break to a new low. So I just wanted to mention that. Now here, someone asked me about this short, which I forgot to reply to him. I need to reply to him. We have, the reason I don't like going short here is because we're clearly just kind of forming this uptrend. Even though this measured move higher was met and we immediately turned down, we just had a bounce confirming this, higher low structure. Now when you draw a trend line, it's not like fitting right off of it, but it's still clearly, some kind of bullish momentum there. It's kind of just like a battle. There's bears that want to go short on this measured move, and then there's bulls that, at this point right here, the bulls are saying, oh, we're making all these higher lows, and have had higher highs. We could possibly fail and just make another higher high and continue up. So it's one of those areas where it looks good to go short, and also some decent reasons for longs at the same time. So you just kind of want to sit on your hands until you get something clear. Now here we make this double bottom, clearly forming this range right here. Now we push out, and this is like a breakout, and now most breakouts fail. So when you see this entry here, notice we have first entry long, second entry long, failure. So this is now a big picture failed second entry. So, and I know this might, if you're like maybe a scalper, this might look confusing, like how is this a failed second entry? It's because it's about structure breaks. It's not about each tick. Like when you're all zoomed in and you look at each tick that goes by, it can look very confusing. But if you zoom out, and sometimes when you're new to bigger picture stuff, it can be good to look at like a 7,000 tick chart, just to get used to it. But you can still tell that we have one move down, one move back up, one move back down, one move back up. So you can still see through all of these, this chop that's going by on all these legs. We can still see the bigger legs, and we have a first entry long, second entry long, failure right at this range high. Once again, a big picture failed second entry right after this big measured move up was met. So this is a really good looking entry. Now we push on lower here. Notice how this acted like a two-legged break again, just like right here. We have that two-legged break from that downtrend before pushing into before attempting a new low. Same thing right here. Downtrend, two-legged break. So it has confluence with the big picture and the small picture. So I really do like that entry right there a whole lot. Notice as soon as this measured move was met, we attempt to reverse higher. Unfortunately, it got very choppy very fast, so there's really no way to enter that safely, and we just end up dropping and having another leg down, nearly retesting that overnight low. It's within one tick. And then this long, I got trapped. This is just not a very good entry. I kind of let myself take it. So this is how I was viewing it. First entry short, second entry short, failure. Now, considering the bearish bias, we turned down right at that measured move. What I was saying about those higher lows, it ended up not continuing. So this confirms the bearish imbalance. And then after that measured move was met, it attempted to reverse and it failed. So everything's pointing bearish at this point. And then I got a failed second entry that's, getting pretty sideways. It's clearly forming some kind of resistance. So with this resistance, it's getting sideways combined with the bearish imbalance, the clear bearish bias. I should not have taken this. Now, I was kind of betting on a retest of this line, but I shouldn't have even been doing that. There's really no reason to go long here. I should have just stuck with the bias. It was clearly down. I shouldn't have been trying to take this, subpar looking reversal pattern anyway. So I did get hit on that. Now we push on lower here, got hit right here. We push out. We end up breaking right back in, pushing out of this trend line. And now with this long right here, I know someone's probably going to ask me about this. They're going to say, it's first entry long and then second entry long and then a push above, but this is just getting really choppy, and clearly on a big picture, this is just one leg down. I would want to see, before going long, keeping in mind the bearish imbalance, I would want to see a very good reversal pattern, not a very choppy, not so good one. I mean, even on that second push down, it was struggling for a while to get above the EMA, and when it finally did, it's still not a good reversal pattern. Once again, first entry short, second entry short, failure. That's the reversal pattern. I would want to see a much clearer separation between these two legs down here. That way it's, like an actual reversal pattern, not just like a barely technically one, then getting choppy. So I hope I'm not being confusing. Imagine this wick all having body and then getting a second leg down over here. It'd be much more separated, is the point I'm trying to make. So we push on up here, get a couple legs up to this, this past swing, and I want to address this area right here. Notice this, this line, this arrow line. So those two legs up on a bigger picture are one leg, even though they're very separated. Someone might ask, how is that one leg? It's very clearly two legs. On a bigger picture, it is, so whoops, I didn't mean to move that. It is one leg. We have first entry long, second entry long, failure. Right here is a very big picture failed second entry. So when we push lower here, which at the time, and I'm not gonna lie here, at the time, I kind of missed the fact that this was two legs. I was kind of just a little bit too zoomed in. I wasn't focusing enough. I noticed it right after. I somehow didn't get that in time. But this is technically a big picture failed second entry. We have first entry long, second entry long, failure. And it has a great signal bar. Now, with that being said, if you wanted to enter that, you would be entering with a 10-point stop. Of course, 10-point target as well. But I'm just saying, even though it's a very big picture trade, if you look at this on a bigger picture or a bigger time frame chart, like a 7,000 tick chart, this is going to look a lot more normal. It's going to look like a regular failed second entry if you look at this on a much larger time frame chart. And so it's good to use larger time frame charts when learning big picture at first, but I do think it's good to phase them out and then only look at the one chart. Or at least that's how I do it. People do it differently. But I just do want to point out here, you do have two measured legs up. It did go a little beyond measured, but they're clearly two connected legs there. But yeah, I did miss out on that. Now, what could have happened was, say we form a failed second entry under here, like just a failed second entry from this swing, and we could have gotten a smaller trade, and that could have been great. And especially because if I noticed this in time, then that would have been one thing. But say that you don't want to take a 10-point risk anyway, you can try to wait on a smaller picture trade, and you'd still be using the momentum from this bigger picture setup. So I hope that's clear. Now we push on lower here, no shorts on the way down. They don't even reach the EMA on these corrections, so unfortunately there's just no way. Now we break out. Clearly we have two legs down at this point. Now I just want to talk about this short. We break out of the overnight low and we get two clear attempts to fade. Now when you get two attempts, you can look to enter on the failure. You don't want to enter on the first attempt failure. You want to enter on the second attempt failure. And I like the way that this setup looks, but I want to talk about, let's just say for a second that this leg down, the measured move was met. Like, let's just say that the measured move was down to here, you know, on these two legs, and let's just pretend like the measured move is met. I'm not going to put it there just so it doesn't confuse anybody, but assuming that this measured move was met, I would not like this exact same setup. And the reason is because with this trade, we are using this measured move as a magnet, because it's, you know, prices are attracted to these like magnets. And so if we had met the measured move already, then this magnet would no longer be an active magnet down here, which means that it would be based purely on this this two-legged breakout pullback, these two attempts to fade failing. But we also have this up measured move in play. Now, I don't really care about it in this case because of the larger picture measured move that's in play. But if this was met, then we wouldn't have the, you know, the magnet down here. So we would have to worry about this measured move, and then I would want to wait on a second attempt to reach this up measured move before entering. But, you know, like I said, with this big measured move still in play, which I'm going to recopy it over because I adjusted the size. I want to make it accurate there. But considering this is still in play, I don't mind entering straight on the second attempt higher failure. So anyway, just wanted to make that clear. We push on lower here, and we still have not reached that measured move here. Now, when you have a measured move in play, you can continue to look for shorts as long as you aren't reversing higher. And in this case here, we're clearly pushing back above the EMA, pushing lower, pushing back above. So it's not always going to reach these measured moves. And if you start reversing before reaching one, yeah, you got to make sure that you're not too dead set on, you know, finding entries to reach it. It can reverse beforehand. So anyway, we push on up here. You know, you can kind of see two pushes down there, but, you know, it's not that big picture, and it's closing below, and it's not ideal. By the time you're closing up here, you don't have any room. You don't have enough room for one-to-one. You know, we could be getting like a wider kind of channel here. We'll see how this holds. It doesn't seem like that healthy of an angle, but, you know, sometimes they'll last a while. So from here, what I'd like to see is after pushing in, I'd like to see two clear attempts down. That way it's like, you know, retesting the overnight low, kind of reconfirming it with two legs. And so then we could possibly get an entry to go long and continue this channel. So ideally it'd pop up right there, you know, two legs down right there. But, you know, other possibilities, you know, we might drop on lower here and then kind of get like a, you know, like a breakout pullback, but then another kind of failed second entry back above. I'm not going to go too deep into what could possibly happen. I'm sure most people are done today anyway. But anyway, so that's going to do it for this video. Hope it helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.